The limitations of System 1. While System 1 is highly efficient, it also has significant limitations. Because it relies on intuition and emotion, it can lead to errors, particularly in situations that require careful reasoning or logic. Some of the common pitfalls of System 1 include cognitive biases. System 1's reliance on heuristics makes it susceptible to various cognitive biases. These biases can distort our judgment and lead to flawed decision-making. Some of the most common biases include confirmation bias, the tendency to seek out information that confirms our pre-existing beliefs. Anchoring effect, the tendency to rely too heavily on the first piece of information we receive when making decisions. Availability heuristic, the tendency to overestimate the likelihood of events based on how easily examples come to mind. Overconfidence, because System 1 often jumps to conclusions, it can lead to overconfidence in our judgments. We may feel certain about a decision based on a gut feeling, even when we lack sufficient evidence to support that confidence. Stereotyping. System 1 tends to categorize and simplify information, which can lead to stereotyping. It makes quick judgments based on limited information, often leading to erroneous or biased conclusions about people or situations. Emotional decision-making. Decisions driven by emotion rather than reason can be impulsive and irrational. For example, you may overestimate the danger of flying after hearing about a plane crash in the news, even though statistics show flying is safer than driving. The emotional impact of the news activates System 1, causing an exaggerated fear response. How to mitigate the errors of System 1. Kahneman's insights into System 1 are not just meant to describe how we think, but also to help us become more aware of the potential errors we make. By understanding the limitations of fast, intuitive thinking, we can learn to recognize when System 1 is leading us astray and when it's necessary to engage System 2, the slower, more analytical system of thought. Here are a few strategies to mitigate the errors of System 1. Pause and reflect. When faced with important decisions, it's helpful to take a step back and engage System 2. Slowing down allows you to gather more information and consider alternatives before making a final decision. Be aware of biases. Simply being aware of the common cognitive biases can help you spot them in your own thinking. For example, if you catch yourself relying too much on the first piece of information you received, anchoring effect, you can consciously seek out additional data. Question intuitions. While gut feelings can be helpful in some cases, it's important to question whether your intuition is grounded in fact or simply a result of System 1's fast thinking. Especially in complex or unfamiliar situations, challenge your initial judgments with deeper analysis. Gather diverse perspectives. Since System 1 often leads to overconfidence, it's beneficial to consult with others who may have different perspectives. This can help to counteract the biases that might arise from relying solely on your own intuition. Conclusion: the dual nature of thinking. In Thinking, Fast and Slow, Daniel Kahneman highlights the dual nature of human thinking. System 1, the fast, intuitive, and emotional system, helps us navigate daily life with efficiency. However, it also has significant limitations, particularly when faced with complex decisions or unfamiliar challenges. While System 1 is essential for quick, everyday judgments, its reliance on heuristics can lead to cognitive biases and errors. By becoming aware of these limitations and learning when to slow down and engage System 2, the more deliberate, analytical system, we can improve our decision-making and reduce the influence of biases. Ultimately, Kahneman's work teaches us that both systems of thinking are valuable, but it's our ability to recognize when to rely on each that leads to better outcomes. System 2. Slow, deliberate, logical. This system kicks in when we need to solve complex problems or when System 1 fails. It requires more effort and attention. Exploring System 2, the slow, deliberate, and logical mind in Thinking, Fast and Slow by Daniel Kahneman. In Thinking, Fast and Slow, Daniel Kahneman breaks down the way humans think into two distinct systems: System 1 and System 2. System 1, the fast and intuitive mode of thinking, works automatically and effortlessly, while System 2 is slower, more deliberate, and requires significant mental effort. These two systems work together in tandem to help us navigate the complexities of life. though each has its strengths and weaknesses. This blog post will dive deep into the inner workings of System 2, the part of the mind that engages in critical thinking, problem-solving, and logical reasoning. Kahneman explains that while System 1 is vital for everyday decision-making, it is System 2 that we rely on when faced with complex problems or when our intuitive mind, System 1, fails us. What is System 2? System 2 is the slower, more analytical part of our thinking. It kicks into action when we need to engage in tasks that require careful thought, reasoning, and logic. While System 1 handles routine tasks effortlessly, System 2 is responsible for more demanding cognitive tasks, such as solving a difficult math problem, making a carefully reasoned decision, or contemplating philosophical questions. Unlike the quick and effortless System 1, System 2 requires focus, attention, and energy. It involves conscious processing, which means that it takes more time and is prone to fatigue if overused. You might notice this when trying to tackle a challenging project after a long day. You feel mentally drained because System 2 has been working hard. For example, if I asked you, what is 17 times 24? System 2 would take over, helping you calculate the answer through logical steps. You'd have to stop, concentrate, and deliberately work through the multiplication process. This stands in contrast to an easy question like, what is 2 plus 2? Which would be handled instantly by System 1. Key characteristics of System 2. Slow and deliberate. System 2 operates at a much slower pace than System 1. It requires time to carefully process information, deliberate on different possibilities, and arrive at a solution. It's this system that allows you to engage in deep thinking and problem solving. Effortful and demanding. Engaging System 2 takes effort. You've likely experienced the mental strain that comes from working on a complex task for an extended period. Solving difficult problems, making important decisions, or learning new skills all require System 2 to be active, and it can be exhausting. Logical and analytical. System 2 is responsible for logical reasoning. When you engage in tasks that require methodical thought, such as drawing conclusions from evidence, making rational decisions, or engaging in a step-by-step process, you are using System 2. Conscious and attentive. Unlike System 1, which works automatically and without conscious thought, System 2 requires your full attention. You are aware when System 2 is active because it demands focus. For example, you can't solve a complex math equation while distracted. You need to concentrate fully to activate System 2. Activated by complexity. System 2 usually comes into play when System 1 encounters a situation that it cannot handle. When the intuitive response of System 1 leads to an error, or when faced with an unfamiliar problem, System 2 steps in to work through the complexity and make more accurate judgments. Examples of System 2 thinking. System 2 is not always engaged in our daily lives, but when it is, it handles tasks that require deeper thinking and effort. Here are a few examples where System 2 is critical. Solving math problems. If someone asks you to calculate how much a 15% tip is on a $47 bill, you'll need to engage System 2 to work through the problem step by step. This requires logical thinking and attention to detail. Making informed decisions. Imagine you're deciding whether to invest in a new business opportunity. You'd need to analyze the pros and cons, evaluate the risks, and think critically about your potential return on investment. This type of careful, deliberate decision-making relies on system planning. A strategy, whether you're formulating a business plan or planning a trip abroad, you need to think logically about each step. System 2 helps you consider all the variables, make contingency plans, and foresee possible challenges. Learning a new skill. If you're learning a new language, musical instrument, or technical skill, you'll need to use System 2 to absorb and process the new information. This involves memorization, practice, and careful attention to detail. The strengths of System 2. System 2 is an essential part of how we think and make decisions. Its deliberate and logical nature is particularly valuable in situations that require complex reasoning. Some of its key strengths include accurate decision-making. While System 1 relies on intuition and heuristics, which can be prone to error, System 2 is based on careful thought and analysis. This allows for more accurate and well-considered decisions, especially in situations where precision is required. Problem solving. When faced with a difficult or novel problem, System 2 is equipped to handle it. This system allows us to work through problems methodically, using logic and evidence to arrive at a solution. Overcoming biases. System 1 is prone to cognitive biases because it operates on intuition and mental shortcuts. System 2, on the other hand, can be engaged to identify and counteract these biases. For example, if you notice that your initial reaction to a situation is based on a stereotype, you can engage System 2 to think more critically and adjust your response. Learning and adaptation. System 2 allows us to learn new skills and adapt to new situations. When learning something new, System 2 is activated to process the unfamiliar information, allowing us to expand our knowledge and abilities. The limitations of System 2. While System 2 has many strengths, it also has limitations. Its deliberate nature can sometimes be a disadvantage, particularly in fast-paced situations that require quick decisions. Here are some of the challenges of relying on System 2. Slow and effortful. System 2 requires significant mental effort and time. This means that it is not always efficient, especially in situations that require a rapid response. For example, if you're in a high-pressure situation where quick thinking is necessary, System 2 may be too slow to keep up. Easily fatigued. Engaging in System 2 thinking for an extended period can lead to mental exhaustion. After spending hours working on a complex task or making tough decisions, you may find yourself feeling mentally drained. This is because System 2 consumes more cognitive resources than System 1. Prone to distraction. Because System 2 requires focus and attention, it is easily disrupted by distractions. Unlike System 1, which operates automatically in the background, System 2 needs your full concentration. If you're trying to solve a problem or make an important decision, any interruption can derail your thought process. Not always engaged. Kahneman points out that System 2 is often lazy. In many situations, we default to System 1 because it is faster and more effortless. As a result, we may fail to engage System 2 when it's truly needed, leading to poor decision-making. The role of System 2 in everyday life. Though System 2 is slower and more demanding, it plays a crucial role in helping us navigate complex situations. We rely on this system when System 1's quick responses fall short, or when the stakes are high and careful thought is necessary. For example, imagine you're buying a house. While System 1 might give you an initial emotional reaction to a property, such as love at first sight, System 2 will step in to help you evaluate the financial implications, consider the condition of the house, and think about whether it's truly a good investment. In another scenario, when faced with a tough career decision, your emotions and gut feelings, System 1, might steer you in one direction. But System 2 will help you analyze the long-term consequences and assess the pros and cons of different options. Balancing System 1 and System 2. Kahneman's research emphasizes that while System 2 is critical for logical decision-making, it is not always superior to System 1. In fact, the two systems complement each other. In many everyday situations, System 1's fast and automatic responses are sufficient and even advantageous. However, in complex or high-stakes situations, System 2 needs to be engaged to avoid errors and biases. The key to effective thinking and decision-making lies in recognizing when to rely on System 1 and when to activate System 2. For routine tasks, System 1 is sufficient. But when faced with a challenging problem, an important decision, or a situation where biases may cloud your judgment, it's essential to slow down and engage System 2. Conclusion. The power of deliberate thinking. In Thinking, Fast and Slow, Daniel Kahneman gives us profound insight into the dual nature of our thinking. System 2, the slow, deliberate, and logical part of our mind, is crucial for solving complex problems, making informed decisions, and overcoming cognitive biases. While System 2 requires effort and attention, its ability to engage in deep thinking, analysis, and rational decision-making makes it an indispensable tool. However, understanding System 1 in action. Instant Impressions of People in Thinking, Fast and Slow by Daniel Kahneman. In Thinking Fast and Slow, Daniel Kahneman delves into the intricacies of human thinking, breaking it down into two systems. System 1, the fast and intuitive side of our mind, and System 2, the slow and deliberate one. One of the most intriguing aspects of System 1 is its ability to form instant impressions of people. These snap judgments happen automatically, without conscious thought, and often within seconds of encountering someone. This blog post explores how System 1 operates when we form these immediate impressions of others, why it can be both useful and flawed, and how it affects our day-to-day interactions. What is System 1? Before diving into examples of System 1 in action, it's important to understand what System 1 is. According to Kahneman, System 1 is the part of our brain that processes information quickly and effortlessly. It relies on past experiences, mental shortcuts, and intuition to make judgments almost instantaneously. System 1 is automatic. It doesn't require conscious effort, and it often operates beneath our awareness. This system helps us navigate the world efficiently, allowing us to make rapid decisions without needing to carefully analyze every situation. While this speed is a great advantage in many contexts, it also comes with a downside. System 1 is prone to biases and errors. Instant impressions of people. How System 1 works. One of the clearest examples of System 1 in action is how we form instant impressions of people. From the moment we see someone for the first time, our brain makes quick judgments about their character, personality, and trustworthiness. This happens automatically, without any deliberate reasoning. You've probably experienced this yourself. You walk into a room, see someone for the first time, and immediately get a gut feeling about them. You may instantly feel that someone is likable, trustworthy, confident, or perhaps even intimidating. All of this happens within moments, driven by System 1. Let's break down some of the key factors that contribute to these instant impressions. Facial expressions. Our brains are wired to recognize facial expressions almost instantly. A person's smile, frown, or neutral expression can trigger an immediate reaction. For example, if someone greets you with a warm smile, System 1 might quickly conclude that they are friendly and approachable. On the other hand, if someone has a stern or closed-off expression, you might instinctively feel that they are unapproachable or even hostile. Body language. In addition to facial expressions, body language plays a huge role in how we perceive others. Someone standing confidently with good posture may be perceived as more self-assured or competent, while someone who slouches or avoids eye contact may be seen as insecure or shy. These judgments happen instantly, without conscious thought, and they heavily influence our initial impressions of people. Physical appearance. It's no secret that we make snap judgments based on people's physical appearance. Kahneman explains that this is another example of System 1 at work. We may form instant opinions about someone's professionalism based on how they dress or their attractiveness, and these opinions often come with strong emotional reactions. While these judgments are not always fair or accurate, they are a natural product of the quick, intuitive thinking that System 1 performs. Tone of voice. The way a person speaks, whether their voice is calm, assertive, or hesitant, can also trigger quick judgments. For instance, someone who speaks confidently and clearly may be perceived as more intelligent or trustworthy, while someone who mumbles or hesitates might be seen as unsure or less competent. These evaluations often happen in a matter of seconds, shaped by System 1's reliance on past experiences and instinct. Real-life examples of System 1 in action. Instant impressions of people. Now that we understand how System 1 forms instant impressions, let's explore some real-life examples to illustrate how this process unfolds. 1. The job interview. Imagine you're sitting in a job interview. Within the first few seconds of meeting the candidate, your mind automatically starts making judgments. Before they've even said a word, you've likely formed an impression based on how they entered the room, their facial expressions, and their general appearance. Did they walk in confidently with a smile? System 1 might quickly signal that this person is self-assured and competent. Did they hesitate at the door or appear nervous? System 1 might interpret this as a lack of confidence. The interviewer's first impression of the candidate can have a significant impact on how the rest of the interview goes. Even though these snap judgments aren't always accurate, they can shape the way the interviewer interacts with the candidate, often without them even realizing it. 2. Meeting someone at a party. Another common example of System 1 at work is meeting someone for the first time in a social setting, like a party or networking event. Within seconds of seeing someone, you might already have a sense of whether you'll get along with them. Let's say you meet someone who is laughing and engaging others with energetic conversation. Your System 1 might immediately label them as friendly and outgoing, leading you to feel more comfortable approaching them. Conversely, if you see someone standing alone, avoiding eye contact, and looking down at their phone, you might assume they're shy or disinterested in socializing. These initial impressions, though based on minimal information, can significantly influence how we interact with others in these settings. 3. Political debates and media appearances. Politicians and public figures are often subject to the quick, automatic judgments of System 1. When someone appears on television, viewers instantly form opinions based on their demeanor, facial expressions, and speaking style. For example, a politician who maintains steady eye contact and speaks confidently may be seen as more trustworthy, while someone who seems nervous or defensive might be perceived as less capable. These snap judgments are formed within seconds of the person speaking, and they can strongly influence public opinion, regardless of the content of what is being said. The strengths and weaknesses of System 1 in forming impressions. System 1's ability to form instant impressions of people is incredibly efficient. In many situations, these quick judgments serve us well. They allow us to navigate social interactions, make fast decisions, and assess whether someone may pose a threat or be a valuable ally. However, as Kahneman explains, System 1 is also prone to errors. Because it operates on intuition and past experiences, it can lead to biases and unfair judgments. For example, stereotyping. System 1 can sometimes rely on stereotypes when forming instant impressions. If a person's appearance or behavior fits a certain stereotype, System 1 may quickly categorize them based on that limited information, leading to biased judgments. Confirmation bias. After forming a quick impression, System 1 tends to look for information that confirms that initial judgment. For instance, if you've already decided that someone seems unfriendly, you may unconsciously focus on behaviors that support that perception, even if they're minor or out of context. Inaccuracy. While System 1 helps us make fast decisions, it can often be wrong. Snap judgments based on appearance, body language, or facial expressions don't always reflect the true character or intentions of a person. System 1 doesn't take into account deeper aspects, such as personality, beliefs, or experiences, which can lead to mistaken conclusions. How to manage System 1's instant impressions. Given the strengths and weaknesses of System 1, it's important to recognize when we are relying on these automatic impressions and when it might be helpful to engage System 2, our slower, more deliberate thinking system. Pause before judging. When meeting someone for the first time, it can be helpful to take a moment before making a judgment. Recognize that your initial impressions may be based on superficial information, and give yourself time to engage System 2 to think more critically. Challenge stereotypes. Be aware of how stereotypes may influence your snap judgments. By consciously questioning whether your initial impression is based on a stereotype, you can engage System 2 to avoid unfair biases. Gather more information. When possible, try to learn more about the person before solidifying your impression. Engaging in conversation, asking questions, and observing behavior over time can provide a more accurate understanding of their character. Conclusion. The role of System 1 in shaping our impressions. In Thinking, Fast and Slow, Daniel Kahneman provides profound insights into how our minds work, particularly through the lens of System 1 and its role in forming instant impressions of people. While System 1 allows us to navigate social interactions quickly and efficiently, it also has its pitfalls, leading to biased or inaccurate judgments. By becoming more aware of how System 1 operates and learning to engage System 2 when necessary, we can improve our ability to form fair, thoughtful, and accurate impressions of others. Recognizing the power and limitations of our fast-thinking mind is the first step toward more mindful and balanced social interactions. Understanding System 1 in Action, Quickly Identifying Familiar Objects in Thinking, Fast and Slow, by Daniel Kahneman. In Thinking Fast and Slow, Daniel Kahneman introduces readers to the idea that our thinking is divided into two systems. System 1, which is fast, automatic, and intuitive, and System 2, which is slower, more deliberate, and logical. One of the fascinating aspects of System 1 is its ability to quickly identify familiar objects, making sense of the world around us without much effort. This is something we experience daily, often without realizing it. In this blog post, we'll explore how System 1 works when it comes to recognizing familiar objects, why this process is so efficient, and how it impacts the way we navigate through life. What is System 1? System 1 is the part of our mind that operates almost automatically. It relies on patterns, experiences, and mental shortcuts to make quick judgments and decisions. System 1 doesn't require conscious thought or deep analysis. Instead, it uses intuition and instinct to guide our actions. This system is responsible for recognizing faces, reading emotions, reacting to immediate threats, and identifying everyday objects in our environment. It's what allows us to function smoothly in familiar situations, responding quickly to stimuli without needing to engage in slow, without deliberate thinking. System 1 in Action, Recognizing Familiar Objects. One of the most common examples of System 1 in action is our ability to quickly identify familiar objects. Whether it's spotting your keys on a cluttered table, recognizing your car in a busy parking lot, or identifying a favorite brand in the grocery store, this process happens effortlessly. Our brain instantly understands what we're looking at, often before we're even fully aware of it. This rapid recognition is the result of System 1 processing years of stored knowledge and past experiences. The more familiar an object is to us, the faster System 1 can identify it. Here's how this process plays out in everyday life. Spotting your car in a parking lot. After a long day of shopping, you walk into a crowded parking lot filled with hundreds of cars. Despite the overwhelming number of vehicles, you're able to spot your car within seconds. Your brain recognizes the shape, color, and other familiar features of your car without any conscious effort. This is System 1 at work. You don't need to examine each car individually or think deeply about where you parked. Your brain simply identifies it almost instantly. Recognizing a friend in a crowd. Imagine you're attending a concert and you're meeting a friend in a large crowd. Even from a distance, your brain is able to recognize your friend's face and appearance almost immediately, despite the many people around you. System 1 is responsible for this quick identification.